Hello anime fan, welcome back to What If Animes 2.0. So in this video you gonna see, what if Naruto was reborn by Kami with godlike power and get a massive harem? This is part 2. And if you want more, then hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. So let's getting the video, and do check out the author of the story. I can get a good 5 hours of sleep before going to meet with the old man, Naruto said as he opened the door to his room. He changed from his dirty Anbu gear back into the orange shirt and black shorts he was going to sleep in. He placed his card down onto the table, once again the picture face down. As Naruto set up his futon to sleep, he felt a pulse. He looked over to the desk and noticed that the pulse was coming from the card. As Naruto walked up to the card, the pulses got stronger. It gave off a small yellow light as he neared it. When Naruto was close enough, he bent his face down to examine it. "Huh? I wonder what's up with this thing now," he said as he inched his face closer. When his face was only inches from it, two ethereal blue hands extended from the card and grabbed his head. Naruto hissed in pain as it felt as if they were trying to rip him apart. The arms kept pulling on his face until there was a small snap. Naruto fell to the floor exhausted from whatever those hands did. He looked up to see the hands holding two symbols, the Uchiha fan and the symbol for aim, the rain country from his home world. They were dragged into the card, and Naruto fell into the black. Naruto got up stiff from lying on the floor all night. "What the hell hit me?" He looked around and saw the card on the floor face down. Naruto jumped back, afraid it might do something like what it did last night. Looking around, he found a broomstick in the corner. Naruto took the broom and poked the card with it. He repeated to be sure nothing was wrong. "It seems safe enough," Naruto mumbled. He went over cautiously and reached for the card. This time nothing happened. Naruto kept looking at the card and frowned. "Man, I'm never going to understand this thing." Naruto tossed the card onto the desk and walked to the dresser and got some clothes. When he turned around, Naruto's eyes widened as he saw a scroll on top of the card that wasn't there before. Naruto looked around the room to make sure no one else was in there. He felt no chakra, ki or magic signatures anywhere inside the room. The only ones he did feel were the traces of magic from within the building coming from Evangeline and Chachimaru. Naruto reached out and grabbed the scroll. He opened it and read the contents. "Dear Naruto, I am sorry to inform you that we had run into some difficulties up here. Some of the higher-ups from the council I lead, known as the reviewers, have all agreed that you were becoming too powerful for your own good. So they have decided to seal away some of the powers you have gotten, namely the Rinnegan and Sharingan. Once again, I apologize for doing this, but I agree with them as well. We have sealed the powers into the Pactio card you have. I say it was rather fitting we did it that way. I will have to say though, even once you use the card, you cannot use both abilities at the same time like you did in that little incident with the robber. Good job for that. I hope not to see you soon, or you're dead literally. Yours truly, Kami. P.S. This is Jiraiya. Good job getting in bed with that girl Gaki. I never thought you had it in you." Naruto's right eye twitched at the postscript, though he had a noticeable blush on his face. Great, hours upon hours of learned to use many of those techniques at least to a proficient level, down the drain. And without the Rinnegan, I won't be able to use Suiten, Kaden, Raiden and Doden jutsus, except for those that are from DC rank. Well, at least I still have my sword style and all I have had learned back then. It's good enough, especially if have to use Sage mode. That Pactio, whatever it's called, will only be used in a sink or swim situation." Naruto sighed. He looked upon the clock on the drawer, and saw that it was 6:30. "Kuso, I got 30 minutes to get ready and get to the train." Naruto searched through his drawer and closet for something nice to wear. He grabbed some clothes and threw open the door. Naruto ran into the kitchen and saw Chachimaru preparing 2 bento boxes. "Hey Cha-chan, is there a shower in the cottage?" "Sorry Naruto-san," Chachimaru replied. "The only one we have is reserved for Master, and she does not like to share it. Is there any place nearby that I can go to and take a bath then, without being late for school?" Naruto asked. Chachimaru shook her head. "The closest onsen takes 30 minutes to get from here, and it does not open until 11 this morning. Thanks anyways Cha-chan," Naruto sighed. He then turned around and began to walk to his room. "If you would like, I will give you directions to the dorm's bathhouse," Chachimaru said. Naruto perked up at this. "You sure Cha-chan?" She nodded. "Great, but I think I have to go after class. I need to get ready. Naruto said as he ran into his room. He then ran out 5 minutes later, took a piece of toast from the table, and ran out the door. "See you later, Cha-chan, Eva-chan," was heard as he ran out. Evangeline looked up from her paper she was reading and looked at the direction of the door. "Where is the idiot going to?" she asked Chachamaru. "I think he is going to meet with the headmaster for some job interview," Chachamaru said, finishing the bentos. "But he forgot his lunch." "Whatever," Evangeline replied. "Bring it just in case I'm still hungry." They then proceeded to leave the house and teleport to campus to get a drink. Naruto ran towards the train as he barely managed to get a ticket for this train. The suit he was wearing made it harder for him to actually run. Sure, his all-black clothing and orange button-up shirt underneath looked fashionably, and hey, the nice dress shoes were too, but he didn't like it. It didn't give him enough mobility to do what he needed. Naruto swore he would change the moment he talked to the headmaster. He then saw the doors starting to close. "Hold the door," he shouted. Naruto saw a hand hold it and he skidded in. Supporting himself on his knees, he tried to catch his breath. "Thanks for holding the door, if you didn't I'd be late for my job on the first day," he said to the person. "It was no problem," a female voice said. He looked up to see a brunette girl a few inches shorter than her. She was in the Mahora middle school uniform. Her chestnut eyes shone while she gave him a comforting smile. She gave off an aura of friendship and kindness, which made him feel safe. Naruto returned the smile with his own foxy one. This caused the girl to blush and look away. "Name's Naruto Namikaze," he said, offering his hand. "It's nice to meet you, Namikaze-san," the girl replied. The honorific made Naruto have an unperceivable twitch in his eye. "My name is Kanoka Kano. Kano? You don't happen to be related to the headmaster of the school by any chance?" Kanoka nodded. "Yes, he is my grandfather." "Hey Kanoka," another female voice interrupted. Both Naruto and Kanoka looked at the source of the voice. It was a female in the same school uniform as Kanoka, except it was larger in order to fit her frame. She had orange hair put into 2 ponytails, held together by bells. What caught Naruto's attention were her eyes. They were heterochromatic. Her left was a dark blue while her right was an aquamarine. Next to her was a short red-haired boy. He had glasses on his face, and wore a green suit. On his back was an odd stick. The orange-haired girl finally took notice of Naruto standing next to Kanoka. "Hey, what are you doing?" the girl asked angrily. "I was just thanking Kanoka-chan here for holding the door," Naruto replied, still smiling. He tilted his head towards the brunette who was blushing at the honorific. "Isn't that right, Kanoka-chan? Hi. Namikaze-san here was going to be late for his first day for his job and asked for someone to hold the door," Kanoka explained. "That was quite nice of you, Kanoka-san," the red-headed boy said. "Thank you, Negi-sensei," she replied, smiling. Naruto looked at the boy questionably, as if he needed to know this. "Aha!" Naruto exclaimed, snapping his fingers. "You're Negi Springfield, aren't ya?" Naruto asked, pointing at the boy. "Why yes I am," Negi said. "Nice to meet you. My name is Naruto Namikaze, and I have applied to work at Mahora and will be helping teach there starting today," Naruto offered, extending his hand to the boy. Negi gladly accepted it and shook it. Naruto heard the orange girl scoff at the scene. "May I help you? You expect us to believe that you are going to teach at the school? You're like what, 16? The girl known as Asuna said. "I'm 17 if you must know," Naruto said, frowning. "Besides, the kid right here is younger than me and teaches. You don't seem to have a problem with that orange-chan." Kanoka and Negi held back their laughs at the nickname Naruto gave Asuna. The girl mentioned was red with fury. "What did you call me?" she seethed. "What? Oh, do you mean, Orange-chan?" Naruto replied innocently. Naruto then got smacked on the head with a fist. He rubbed it to make the pain go away. Asuna was tending to her fist as she glared at the blonde teenager. "My name is Asuna. Asuna Kagurazaka, get it right, baka. And what is your head made of? Lead? Hey, I'll have you know, my head is not made of lead, got it?" Naruto retorted. "I've just been hard-headed since I was a kid. That's a figure of speech, fishcake." Asuna almost spat out the last word. "I meant it literally, Orange-chan." Naruto shouted at her. They heard a giggle come from Kanoka and looked at her curiously at the same time. "You two look like a good couple," Kanoka said. "I mean, you're so close to each other and not embarrassed at all by it." "Kanoka-san, I don't think a teacher and student should have that type of relationship though, Negi replied. Huh? Both of the arguers said. Kanoka just pointed at them. They both looked down and saw that they were only inches away from each other. Asuna jumped away at the moment, blushing furiously. Naruto, however, was used to doing that because of Ero Sennin. He just smirked at her. "Oh, am I not good enough for you, Asuna-chan?" he asked with a mock pout. Asuna became more red as he said that. "No, in fact I don't think you look good at all. I only have my sights on Takahata-sensei," she replied. Naruto was about to respond as the train came to an abrupt stop, sending Asuna crashing into him. The proximity to each other made them both blush. Asuna got up and mumbled an apology, and Naruto doing the same. "Well, see you later, Namikaze-san," Kanoka said as the doors opened and the people stampeded out. "Yes, it will be a pleasure working with you, Namikaze-san," Negi input as he too ran out the doors. Naruto then looked at Asuna, who was glaring at him. "Aren't you going to run off too?" Naruto questioned her. She rolled her eyes and ran off. Naruto shook his head and stepped out. The stampede only grew bigger outside of the train. "You have got to be kidding me," Naruto grumbled. He looked around to see if anyone was watching, which no one was. He walked a ways bit forward, then disappeared in a gentle breeze. Naruto reappeared on the roof of a store that was only a few buildings away from the main office of the headmaster. He smirked and decided to use one of his new jutsus. He took out a three-pronged kunai from his suit's coat, applied chakra into his arms and threw it at the open window in the headmaster's office. Kanoman was patiently waiting for his new employee to arrive. He wasn't late yet, but he wanted the boy to be here on time. "I wonder where he is right now," he thought. The headmaster heard a whizzing noise go through the air and thunk on his door. He examined the door and saw an odd throwing knife there. Following the kunai's appearance was a yellow flash. Kanoman raised his thick brow at Flash, as he saw the boy of his musings appear out of thin air. Naruto looked around and saw that he was indeed in the right place. He grinned and pumped his fists into the air. Yata. First trial of the Hirishin outside of the resort a success. He heard a little bit of laughter behind him and saw the headmaster chuckling at him. Naruto sheepishly scratched the back of his head and said, "Hee, sorry old man, kind of got carried away there." "Don't worry Naruto-kun, it's alright," Kanoman said. He entwined his fingers together and rested his chin on it. "You know what the job requires you to do, right?" Naruto nodded. "Good. Shizuna, please ask Negi to come to the office, please." Naruto quirked his eyebrow at the request. "I can't believe the headmaster let an idiot like that be a teacher at this school." Asuna whined as she, Negi and Kanoka walked into the building. "He's not that bad, Asuna," Kanoka said. "He was just trying to make conversation with us. Besides, the only mean to you because you insulted him." "I agree with Kanoka-san, Asuna-san," Negi replied. "Negi, not you too. It's a good thing we ran into Evangeline-san too when we got our drinks," Negi said, changing the subject. "Yeah, now we have lead on your father." "Did you say something, Negi-sensei, Asuna?" Kanoka said, not paying attention. "And nothing, Kanoka-san," Negi stuttered. He looked at his watch and his eyes widened. "Hey, I have to the teacher's lounge to see if I have mail." "See you in class, girls. Bye, Negi." Kanoka said. "See you later," Asuna mumbled as she and Kanoka entered the classroom. The class of 3A was never a normal class, with all of their odd quirky students in it, so it came with no surprise to both of the girls to see all of their classmates huddled around one desk. Asuna and Kanoka put their stuff in their seats and went to the crowd. "What's happening here? You mean you didn't hear?" Haruna Saotome asked. This girl had on glasses and long hair like Kanoka, but it was a lighter shade and had two antennae-like hairs sticking out of her head. "Hear what? Misa was last night on her way home after her date. My goodness, nothing bad happened to her, right?" Kanoka asked, concerned. "I'm alright, thanks for asking," Misa Kakazaki replied. "I managed to get away from the man, but he was really scary. He even threatened me with a knife." "How did you manage to get away?" asked a buxom redhead, with her head in a ponytail. This girl was Kazumi Asakura, 3A's very own budding reporter. "I escaped with some help. Though the guy that helped me was odd," Misa said, getting into a thinking pose. "Why do you say that? He just came out of nowhere, and I think kicked the guy in the face or something. He told me to run, so it was a he that helped you? Are you sure it was some she who can change her voice?" Asakura asked again. Misa glared at her, making her put her arms up in defense. Sorry, please continue. As I was saying, he told me to run, but I didn't listen. I wanted to see what he did to the guy. I saw the robber attack him, but he just easily stopped the attack and placed a hand on the guy's head. The robber shouted about not being able to move and shouted something else I couldn't hear. It was then the figure bent his head down and whispered something to the guy. A second later the robber fell unconscious. He then came to me and told me go leave again. That didn't sound weird at all, except for him appearing out of nowhere and the passing out part. Asuna said, getting into the conversation. That wasn't what made it weird, Misa defended herself. What was weird was the guy's eyes. Don't tell me you fell for the hero thing. You have a boyfriend, Misa, Asakura reprimanded her. No. I didn't fall for him like that. It's just his eyes were weird. They were a pale purple and had a rippling effect to them. They were hypnotizing, Misa concluded. So you are telling me that we have vigilante out there on our campus, who can easily knock people out by whispering to them, and had an odd pair of eyes. Asakura concluded. Misa nodded. Asakura replied by laughing out loud. You really expect me to believe that? I mean, what kind of person can do that? A magician? You know magic isn't real. Asuna was sweating bullets as she heard the last part of the conversation. She was one of the very few who knew of magic actually existing in her. The others she knew about were Evangeline and Chachimaru, because one was a vampire and the other her servant, respectively. She tuned out the rest of their conversation as she thought of who the hell did that. Her train of thought was broken when the door slid open. All conversation stopped as the teacher and Negi stepped in. Nodoka Miyazaki led all of the class to greet Negi. After their greetings everyone sat down. And Negi spoke up. Everyone, next week, Class 3A is going on a school trip to Kyoto and Nara. Is everyone prepared? A collective, yeah, was the answer. As everyone was talking amongst themselves about it, there was a knock on the door. Negi-sensei, the principal is calling you. Shizuna said. Okay, so the school trip will proceed as planned. I'm counting on you, Negi-kun. Yes sir. Negi replied. He just heard that he had a mission to do in Kyoto. He had to settle a dispute between the Kansai and Kyoto Magic Associations. Even with this, Negi will still have a chance to look for info for his father. He was about to leave when the headmaster called out to him. Oh Negi, before you leave, I forgot to mention we are sending you with some backup. The headmaster called out. Backup? Yes, he will be helping you out during your trip, as well as the rest of your career here. When do I get to meet this person? Negi asked. Right now, he was in the room listening. Let me introduce you to your new helper and assistant. Konoman hesitated. A blonde figure fell from the roof, flipped and landed in a crouch. Cerulean blue eyes met red ones. Naruto Namikaze. Namikaze-san. Negi shouted, surprised. He didn't expect to be hit on the forehead by Naruto. Ow, Namikaze-san. Another flick. Let's get this straight, Negi, Naruto said in a serious tone. It's Naruto. Not Namikaze-san or Naruto-san. I may accept Ni-san or Aniki, but anything else I will flick you in the head, hard. Negi nodded. Naruto then smiled brightly. That's good. Since school is over I need to go prepare for the trip. Excuse me, Negi said. He put his hand on the door handle when he felt a hand on his shoulder. He saw Naruto smiling down at him kindly. Hey, let me go with you, Naruto said. It will give me a chance to get to know my associate better. Okay Namika Naruto, Negi said nervously as he saw Naruto glare at him. Follow me please, Naruto. The duo then left the room, leaving a chuckling headmaster. So Naruto, are you a mage? Negi asked as he and Naruto walked around campus. No, I am not, Naruto answered. This got a surprised look from Negi. I'm just knowledgeable about magic. That's all. Oh okay Naruto, Negi said. He and Naruto then noticed a small bundle in front of Negi's suit move around. Out came a head of an white ferret. I didn't know you kept a pet ferret, Negi, Naruto commented. I'm not a ferret. I'm an ermine, get it right, the white ermine called. Hey, that's cool, did you teach it to talk, Negi? That's pretty neat. Naruto saw a tick mark appear on the ermine's head. Naruto laughed and patted it on the head. Don't worry buddy, I'm just messing with you. I haven't seen a talking ermine yet. Toads, snakes and slugs, yeah, but never an ermine. That's pretty cool, Hige Ni-san, the ermine called Naruto. In response, Naruto snickered. You know that's pretty original. No one has called me Whiskers before, Naruto laughed. Nice to meet ya. Name's Naruto. Albert Chamomile, the ermine said with a cigar in his mouth. But call me Chamo. By the way, Aniki, why did you defend Evangeline back there? Because she would have gotten into trouble, Negi said. Besides, I don't think she is a bad person. Hey, feeling pity for the enemy is soft, but that is Aniki for you. Chamo said, while Naruto smiled at the duo. It reminded him of Gamakichi and himself a lot, except Negi wasn't as outgoing as himself and he didn't know about Chamo too much. By the way, Aniki, I was going to tell you this afternoon, but did you see a card appear when you used the provisional contract last night? Do you mean this? Negi said, presenting a card. Naruto inspected it over the boy's shoulder and his eyes widened. It was similar to his card, but it contained a picture of the Asuna girl in a pose with a rather large blade. Yeah, that. Chamo exclaimed, it's the proof of a contract between you and your partner. Contract with a partner? That means it's a magic thing, but I don't remember getting into a contract with anyone within the 2 days I've been here. The old man must know something. I should really stop putting off asking him about this, Naruto thought. Hey Negi, how come you got a picture of Orange-chan like that? Does that mean she's your this? Naruto teased, wiggling his pinky. Negi felt heat go to his cheeks, and Chamo was laughing as he took a perch on Naruto's right shoulder. I think he is Hige-sama, Chamo said, chuckling. Hey Negi. The two looked up to see Asuna and Kanoka walking towards them out of uniform. Asuna was in a turtleneck and jeans. She had also changed her hairstyle by putting them in a loops. While Kanoka was in an oversized sweater showing off her legs. Naruto blushed taking the legs in, but shook himself before he got noticed by the girl who was very much like Sakura. Asuna saw Naruto and frowned. What are you doing here, Fishcake? It's nice to see you too, Asuna-chan. Nice hairdo, makes you look cute, Naruto said, opting for actually using her name while in her vicinity. The compliment caused the girl to blush and look away. He then turned his head and smiled a foxy smile at Kanoka. How are you doing, Kanoka-chan? The girl blushed and replied, I'm good, Namikaze-san. Naruto-sensei, Naruto corrected. Huh? Both of the girls said, confused. It's going to be Naruto-sensei from now on. Right, Negi? Hi. Naruto here is going to be my assistant in class from now on, Negi explained. He agreed to go with me to prepare for our Kyoto trip. Negi then took a glance at Asuna and felt more heat go to his cheeks, which didn't go unnoticed by Asuna and Naruto. Hey Negi, why are you turning red? Asuna asked. And then nothing, Negi replied. Aw Negi, is that a tarot card? Kanoka asked, looking at the card in Negi's hand. And it's got Asuna on it, eh? It's true. When did you, and what's with the weird clothes? Asuna asked. Asuna-san, it's proof of the contract, Negi whispered into her ear. Ah, if Negi-kun has a nice picture of Asuna and carry it around, he must. Kanoka left it hanging. No, I'm not, Negi defended himself. Naruto was laughing when he heard another person come to the same conclusion as him. He went to Negi and ruffled his hair. It's okay Negi, she's just teasing you. Naruto reassured the boy. Let's get going. Asuna said, walking off to a shop. The 4, 5 if you include the Chamo, were seen in a store. Negi was trying out clothes with the help of Kanoka and Chamo was near them. Asuna was looking for clothes too in a different section. Naruto had decided to follow her and ask her about the contract card thing. Hey Asuna, Naruto called out to her. She looked up and frowned at him, but wondered why he dropped the suffix. What do you want, Naruto? She asked, still looking through the rack of clothes. Come to watch me change? You know that never crossed my mind, Naruto said thoughtfully. But now that you mentioned it, maybe. A tick mark grew on Asuna's head while she blushed. Pervert. She then threw a punch at him, but was surprised to see that he caught it with ease. She heard him sigh as he shook his head. He gently let go of her fist and backed away to make sure he wouldn't get hit. So did you want, if you weren't going to be a pervert? I came to ask about that card and contract Negi kept talking about. Asuna noticed something odd. Gone was the flirty happy-go-lucky blonde idiot. In his place was a serious man who can actually be a good teacher. The thought of him being serious and more mature like Takahata-sensei made her blush. Then it clicked what he wanted to hear about, making her go even redder. Why do you want to know about that? Asuna asked, going through more clothes as to not make eye contact with the boy. It's because I know about magic, and for some reason the headmaster gave me one and said it belonged to me. Naruto answered, crossing his arms, his face becoming serious. I'm asking because I've only been here for 2 days, and I somehow managed to get one without my knowing of it. Well, I don't know too much about it, except it establishes a connection between you and a mage. Also, it is made by. Asuna left it hanging, remembering her kiss with Negi. She blushed at kissing a 10-year-old. By what? Naruto asked. And nothing, forget about it, Asuna covered. Let's go look for Negi and Kanoka, they seem to go missing. Naruto looked around and nodded. He put his hands in his pockets and walked side by side with Asuna. As they walked through the store looking for their companions, they heard the whispers and giggles of girls all around them. Asuna was befuddled by all of this, and when she looked to Naruto it looked like he wasn't even paying attention to it. Do you know what they are whispering about? Asuna asked Naruto. Naruto looked at her and shrugged. Me and you looking like a nice couple, or something along those lines. Asuna gaped and stood in her spot as she heard him. Naruto kept walking only to stop seeing that Asuna was still somewhere in the back. Hey Asuna-chan, what's wrong? What's wrong? She burst. How can you stand rumors like that flying around about you and mostly me? Naruto said, going into a thinking pose. It's because I've had worse, he finished a little darkly. Now as you said, let's go find Negi and Kanoka-chan. Asuna wondered what was wrong with him but decided to drop it. The pair kept walking, but came to a stop when they heard Kanoka's voice coming from inside a dressing room. They opened the curtain to see Kanoka kissing on the cheek. Hey, what are you two doing? Asuna shouted. A bright flash of light later, they heard Kanoka going on about a card. When the light died down they saw another Pactio, but it was a rather crappy looking one. The picture looked like a 5-year-old did it. Why is it so bad? Kanoka cried with anime tears. It's different from Asuna's, so it has to be a proper kiss after all. Negi pondered out loud, looking at the card. Naruto raised his eyebrow and looked from Negi to Asuna. Asuna just gave him with the, don't ask, look. Okay Negi, let's do this one more time, Kanoka said. However, Naruto was keeping them away from each other. Calm down Kanoka-chan. Naruto's sweat dropped at her antics. He then heard a girly scream and turned around. He saw Asuna holding a beat-up Chamo. He then sent her a questioning look. Asuna just gestured with her head at the two he was holding. Naruto nodded in understanding. He then looked at the sky and saw it get dark. Well, I had to go. See you in class tomorrow Negi, Kanoka-chan, Asuna-chan. He then walked off, disappearing. He was a good ways away when a thought crossed his mind. Did I just have a conversation with Asuna without using words? Unknown to him, a certain orange-haired girl was having the same thoughts. Naruto didn't use the train the next day. He hirishined to the school, for he left a tag there. He nearly forgot to take a bath the night before, but made it to an onsen right before it closed. So smelling fresh like a whistle, he was standing in the office of the headmaster once again. In front of him was a man in a gray suit, with graying hair, a pair of glasses and a cigarette. He reminded Naruto of Asuma. I'm Takamichi Takahata, the man introduced himself. Nice to meet you Namikaze-san. Naruto pinched the bridge of his nose. It's Naruto. Please don't use honorifics on me. The man nodded. I'm here to take you to the class Naruto. You ready? Naruto nodded and they both left the room. The headmaster didn't pay attention to the conversation in front of him. He was too immersed in the book Naruto asked him to check before he sent it off to a publisher to get some extra cash. It was a little orange book called Icha Icha Beginnings. He looked up in time to see the teachers leave. He shrugged and went back to reading, letting out a perverse giggle. Did you girl hear? Asakura asked her classmates. We're getting an assistant teacher for our class. When did you hear that Degazaru? Asked a tall, lightly tanned girl. She had olive green hair and her eyes seemed like they were closed. I heard it yesterday, Kaide. He was supposed to be here yesterday too, but he got caught up with the headmaster about some business. Asuna decided to tune out the rest of the conversation of the girls, already knowing who would be coming to their class. Negi had given them free time since he didn't want to stress them this week, so he was going light on the work. This gave the girls time to chat up like the girls in some parts of the room, or just mind themselves like others. She looked up to see Nodoka Miyazaki, a shy purple-haired girl, being pressured by her two friends Uace and Haruna Saotome into asking Negi out. She let her thoughts drift again. but they kept going back to the blonde-haired teacher. She was wondering if she was crazy since she had a dream about him and her doing rather intimate things together. She became flustered and shook her head. "Asuna." "What?" she snapped. She then saw the rest of the class looking at her. She looked away embarrassed. "What do you want, Asakura? What do you think the new assistant will be like? A blonde idiot?" Asuna mumbled. "You think so?" Asakura asked. She didn't get an answer as she saw Asuna's eyes go out the window again. The reporter sighed at the girl's expression. She needed more info on this guy. All commotion stopped as there was a knock on the door. Takahata-sensei entered the room and stood in front of the class. He nodded towards Negi, who returned the gesture. He then addressed the girls. "Hello girls. As you may have heard, you are getting an assistant for your class. He will be helping Negi-sensei for the rest of his career at this school, so please take care of him. You can come in now." Takahata finished speaking towards the door. The girls looked in anticipation as they saw a boy, no young man, walk in. He had unruly yellow hair that seemed to bounce with every step. He was wearing a dark blue suede and an orange shirt inside with a black tie. He got in front of the class and faced the girls. Most of the girls blushed at the person. He had stunning cerulean blue eyes as he stared out at them. His mouth was put in a fox-like grin and adorning his cheeks were 6 whisker-like marks. 3 on each side. "Yo, my name is Naruto Namikaze. I hope we can get along well," he said with a mock salute. Naruto noticed that most of the girls had blushes on their faces. Some had hearts in their eyes and a very few nosebleeds. After his introduction, all hell broke loose. The girls swarmed him and kept asking questions. "How old are you? Where do you come from? What is your type of girl? Can I get your number?" While this was happening, Naruto was trying his hardest not to have a nosebleed, as well as resist the urge to do something that he might regret right there and then. He could swear he heard Jiraiya-sama giggling like a schoolgirl at his predicament. He was saved when Takahata broke up the group. Naruto was still on the floor greedily taking gasps of air and put his hand on his face to hide the blush. He got up and steadied himself on the table. "Thanks Takamichi," Naruto said. "No problem," he replied. "If you need me in the lounge right now, K?" Naruto nodded as Takahata walked out the door. "Sup Negi," Naruto greeted his new friend. "Hello Naruto-san, ouch," Negi exclaimed, rubbing his forehead. He looked at Naruto and asked, "What was that for?" "You forgot what I told you yesterday," Naruto said with a sigh. "Oh, I'm sorry Naruto," Negi apologized. "It's okay, but forget again." "I'm going to Noogie, you got that?" Naruto said sternly, with a nodding Negi. They heard a giggle coming from the class and looked at them. The girls all had smiles on their faces when they looked at the two. "What?" Naruto asked. "You two act like siblings, you know that," Kanoka said. "Yeah?" agreed to small girls with pink hair. They looked like 10 but they weren't. They were Fuka and Fumika Narutaki, the resident pranksters of the class. "Hello Naruto-sensei," a redhead said as she put a microphone to Naruto's face. "I'm Kazumi Asakura, Class 3A's very own reporter. Do you mind answering a few questions?" "Sure, I don't see the problem in that," Naruto answered even though he sweat dropped. "How old are you?" 17 inches. "Where do you come from?" "Far away. Some small village in the mountains somewhere up north." "What's your favorite color?" Naruto's eyes flashed for a moment in Asuna's direction, noticing her hair, as well as the hair of another student. "Orange. What type of girl are you into?" "Come on Asakura, do you think you would answer that kind of question?" Asuna shouted defensively. "Nah, don't worry Asuna-chan, I got this." The girls started to murmur at the honorific he gave Asuna, wondering how they knew each other. "I like girls who are nice, kind, easy to be with and loves ramen. Is that your answer?" Asakura asked to make sure, because a lot of girls put their heads down when they heard what he said. Naruto started to laugh at that. "Man, I was just kidding. I won't tell you what type of girl I like, it's fun for you girls to guess nay," Naruto said, sending another foxy smile at the girls, making them blush. "Kazumi-san, can you please stop questioning Naruto? I think he would like to use this time to get to know the class," Negi said, coming next to the teen. "Wouldn't you Naruto?" "Yeah, that would be nice. I mean, getting to know me like that is great and all, but I'd like to talk to all of you personally. So please continue whatever you were doing before I got here, and I'll get to you shortly, okay? Hi sensei?" The girls replied as they got back to talking. Naruto then looked to the back to see 2 chairs empty. Hey Negi, who sits back there? That would be Evangeline-san and Chachimaru-san, Negi explained. They left early to meet up with the headmaster. Naruto nodded. He continued to scan the room when his eyes fell on a mop of silver hair. His eyes widened as he saw the girl who he woke up with on Saturday. She was eyeing him funny as he looked at her. Naruto sighed, deciding to talk to the girl. Akko was staring at the new teacher. It was the boy she woke up with on Saturday in the infirmary. She didn't know what to say. She blushed at the memory of only seeing him in boxers. Akko was surprised to see him plop into the seat across from her. The girls started to whisper as they saw him with her. She flushed harder, not being used to getting attention. Hello Naruto-sensei. Akko stuttered out, not looking at him. Hey, Naruto started waiting for her name. It's Akko Izumi, sensei. Okay Akko. I'm guessing you remember what happened on Saturday by the way you were looking at me, right? The way he said it made it sound like a statement, not a question. Hi. Can I at least explain to you before you say something to get me fired? Akko nodded. Thanks. You see, I was there because they found me unconscious in front of the school and they decided to take care of me. The reason I didn't have clothes on was because they were dirty from my travels. And about you ending up in the same bed as me, I don't know how to explain that, but I'm sorry for putting you in that situation, Naruto whispered to make sure no one else heard. That was my fault, Akko said. If I had paid attention, we wouldn't have ended up like that and I wouldn't have come to the conclusion that you were a pervert. So a new start? Naruto offered, smiling at her. She smiled back and nodded. He stood up to talk to someone else when he felt both his ninja instincts and pervert sense activate. Both of them were telling him to move out of the way for some reason. He turned around only to see Negi almost going to sneeze in front of him. Okay, my two options are getting out of the way and let whatever is going to happen to Akko-chan. The other is me taking the hit and be humiliated on my first real day on the job. Decisions. Naruto glanced at Akko and sighed. Option 2 it is then. Curse you my conscience. After the thought, Negi sneezed in the general direction of Naruto. The sneeze was so powerful it ripped off most of Naruto's clothes, leaving him in his ramen-themed underwear. All the girls looked at him and got nosebleeds and passed out. The few who didn't either were either glaring at him or taking in his figure. He then glared at the sheepish-looking Negi, who was stuttering out apologizes. Negi, you owe me a new suit. Naruto lied in his room, smiling to himself as he remembered the week he spent with the class. He found all the girls nice, if not interesting to hang out with. He still can't believe some of them were in middle school looking at their bodies. Some of the girls there had bodies most 20-year-olds would kill to have. A small perverted smile formed on his lips when he remembered the time he actually went to the girls' dorm bathhouse on Wednesday night. Flashback. I have got to pay attention next time when Cha-chan gives me directions. Naruto grumbled as he carried around a duffel bag of clothes with him lost in the girls' dorm. Maybe I should ask for help. But what happens if they think I'm a pervert for asking? But I'll never get clean, gah. Naruto shouted, falling to his knees in front of a dorm. I don't know what to do. Keep it down out there, a voice came from the door in front of him. The door opened to reveal Asuna in casual clothes. Huh? Naruto, what are you doing here? Asuna-chan, Naruto said. Getting up, he went to her and asked, do you mind helping me find the bath to this place? Why do you need to find the bath? She eyed him warily. Naruto rolled his eyes. The so-called landlord of my place doesn't want to share the only shower there. So my roommate gave me directions to this place, but I zoned out. I wasn't going to do something to offend you girls, especially since I am a teacher. I still don't trust that claim, Asuna replied. Come inside and wait there. Naruto quirked his eyebrow but shrugged. He walked into the dorm and saw it was pretty cozy, more so than his original apartment. There were a couple of giant pillows in the middle with a coffee table. To the right of the room was a bunk bed, probably for Asuna and her roommate. A small kitchen, dining room was to the left, as well as a desk to the far side of the room. Naruto then noticed that there was a futon near the couch. Hey Asuna, who do you live with? Naruto asked curiously. Asuna was going through her closet as he looked around at the pictures around the dorm. It was very cozy in his opinion. I live with Kanoka and Negi, she replied as she went through her closet. They're out right now getting groceries. Naruto just hummed his reply. After 4 minutes she came back out holding a towel and a robe. Once again Naruto raised an eyebrow to this. Should I ask why are you in that? What else do you think, fish cake? Asuna huffed. I'm going to the bathhouse with you. Wow Asuna, are you trying to make moves on me? Naruto mocked. I'm surprised. I mean we aren't supposed to have this kind of relationship. I'm a teacher and you're a student, baka. She did a chop to his head which he sidestepped. I'm only doing this to keep an eye on you. Asuna said with a blush, so you didn't to look at me enough when Negi blasted my clothes off? Naruto asked smirking. Asuna saw red and pushed past him. Let's just go okay. Naruto kept a snicker to himself as he followed her. She opened a set of double doors and Naruto saw one of the most extensive bathhouses in his life. It put the ones in Konoha to shame. Nice digs, Naruto remarked. Yeah, it is why this dorm is one of the most wanted dorms to be in. We have one of the best bathhouses in the school. Is there any place I can get out of my clothes? Asuna pointed to a small door to the side. Naruto nodded and walked in. He stripped off his work clothes and put on some trunks, expecting this to happen. When he came back out Asuna in a one-piece bathing suit, sitting in the bath looking into space. He shrugged and went to the showers. Turning on the hot water and Naruto let it go down his body. He then put shampoo in his hair and soaped his body, then washed it out. Turning off the shower he walked over to Asuna and sat down also staring off to space. There were a few moments of silence before Naruto spoke. I saw you looking at me. He smirked when he saw Asuna blush. What do you mean you saw me looking at you? Wouldn't that make you be watching me? She accused. Well you are a beautiful girl. Why wouldn't I want to look at you? Naruto commented nonchalantly. He then heard his companion stutter out a few things, causing his smirk to widen. I think she's taking a bath Negi. Naruto heard the familiar voice of Kanoka coming from the other side of the door. He was proved right as he saw both Negi and Kanoka walking, both in bathing suits too. Negi was in green trunks while Kanoka was in a similar one-piece bathing suit as Asuna. Must be school-issued, Naruto thought. Asuna, are you in there? Oh. Kanoka stopped seeing her best friend relaxing in the bath with their new sensei. What is going on here? Negi asked blushing. Naruto tilted his head and waved off-handedly. Yo, Asuna-chan here helped me find the bath since my current landlord won't share. Isn't that right Asuna-chan? He got no response. Asuna-chan? Naruto turned to look at her, only to find her with an atomic blush looking away. What's wrong? And nothing, Asuna lied. Naruto knew she was lying but decided to drop it. You guys going to join in? He asked. They both nodded, going into the bath. So what's up guys? Nothing much Naruto. Negi sighed with a small smile. He may not like baths but it was calming sometimes. Just getting prepared for our trip on Monday. Grading a few papers here and there and usual teacher stuff. That's good to hear. Give me some of the papers after this and I'll help grade them Negi, Naruto said with his foxy grin. Negi nodded, furiously happy to get some work off his hands. How about you Kanoka-chan? Naruto turned his attention to the brown-haired girl, the same as every day. Go to school, do homework and feed both Negi and Asuna, she said with a kind smile. Naruto noticed that she would glance at him every once in a while just like Asuna did, blushing afterwards but not as hard as Asuna. As her friends talked animatedly, Asuna didn't dare to make eye contact with the blonde. This had occurred in her dream with him. They were alone in the pool when he confessed that he loved her and they were making out. I shouldn't be thinking of him like this. I like Takahata-sensei, Asuna thought. She dared look at the blonde and noticed that he was laughing alongside Negi and Kanoka at some joke they told each other. A small smile graced Asuna's lips as she watched him. She then saw him looking at her through the corner of his eye. He lifted his left hand up and wagged his finger as if he had caught her doing something bad. Heat rushed to her cheeks and she looked away. After a good 5 minutes sitting in the bath, they heard a commotion outside. The door opened to reveal the rest of the class of 3A. Thankfully they all had bathing suit, for they remembered the last time they came in without any clothes, leaving a very embarrassed Asuna and Negi. Naruto soaked in all their figures. Some caused him to blush like Kaide, Mana, Asakura and Chizuru. While others were let down like the twins. It sent a shiver down his spine. Thinking of them like that made him feel a little bit like Orochimaru, the pedophile that he was. Negi-sensei is here and so is Naruto-sensei, cried out a pink-haired girl. Her hair was put into 2 pigtails, and had a happy smile on her face. "Oh hello Maki." Negi addressed the pink-haired girl. "Girls, yo," Naruto said, turning his head to them. "Naruto-sensei, what are you doing here?" Ayaka Yukihiro, aka the class representative, asked. "You are not doing anything perverted with those girls, are you?" "Nope," Naruto answered. Then a smile like that of a hunter finding its prey appeared. He then sat up straighter and flashed everyone one of his trademark grins. "Well, unless they want me to, that is," he seemingly purred out. This caused many of the girls to get nosebleeds. "Naruto," Asuna said threateningly behind. "Fine, I won't do anything to the girls," Naruto said. Asuna smiled at that, but it faltered the moment she heard him finish the statement. Because Asuna doesn't want to share. All the girls surrounding her shouted at Asuna, demanding answers. Asuna was mad and looked for the blonde to tell him to take that back. She then noticed him standing in the doorway fully clothed in a white t-shirt and some jogging pants, his duffel bag over his shoulder. He gave her a smirk and a wink before gently closing the door. "I'm going to kill him." Flashback end. Naruto smiled, remembering the next day Asuna tried to beat him up, but he just avoided her attack and went on with trying to get to know the rest of the students in class. Naruto then remembered the small prank war between himself and Fuka and Fumika. This had him laughing to himself for a while, remembering the looks on the entire class when the day was over. Flashback: Naruto was going to walk into class, when he noticed a little bit of tripwire on the floor. Naruto got a coin from his pocket and flicked it towards the string, setting it off. In front of him 6 water balloons hit the floor. I wonder who is targeting me, he thought as he walked past the puddle of water. Around the corner a pair of twins were looking at their new teacher. "I can't believe we couldn't get him," Fuka Narutaki exclaimed. She was the older of the 2 twins and the more mischievous. "Oni-san, I think it is a bad idea to prank Naruto-sensei," Fumika said to her older sister. Unlike her sister, this girl is that exact opposite of her. She is nice and likes to clean, even though she goes along with the pranks her sister goes through. "But if we can't even prank Naruto-sensei, we will never be able to go up on our training from Kaide," Fuka said. "Fine," Fumika sighed. Unknown to them, a Naruto clone was standing by them, eavesdropping in on their conversation. Having felt their presence, Naruto decided to leave a clone to find out what was going on. The clone smirked and poofed out of existence. In the classroom, Naruto was speaking to Evangeline while the reset of the kids in the class were doing the light English work Negi gave them. He had learned English by some chance a few days ago after a rather painful headache. Naruto shrugged it off, guessing it was one of those Kami-induced information pills. His eyes widened when the information from the clone came, making him stop talking to Evangeline about the cottage. "Something wrong, idiot?" Eva asked. "No, everything is fine, Eva-chan," Naruto said, smiling to the vampire. "I told you to stop calling me that," she shouted at him. This caught the attention of the entire class. "Oh, would you rather call me the other nickname I gave you back at the cottage?" Naruto smiled. "You wouldn't dare. Not in public," Eva whispered, terrified. "Oh, I would, and you know it," Naruto said, smirking at the little vampire. "Fine," she grudgingly agreed. "I'll let you call me Eva-chan here. But you can only call me that other name back at the cottage, alright?" Naruto nodded and walked away. Back to where Eva was sitting, some of the girls grouped around her desk. "What do you fools want? What were you talking about, Uru?" a strong tanned-skinned blonde-haired girl asked. She was Kufei, the resident martial art expert. "It was nothing." "Now leave me alone," Evangeline said. "You wouldn't be shouting if it was nothing," said a rather busty dark-skinned girl named Mana Tatsumiya. "I don't really get into this, but with you being pretty loud it was annoying. We were just talking about problems," Eva said with a tick mark on her forehead. "Fine, if you won't tell us, we'll just have to talk to Naruto-sensei about it," Asakura said with a Cheshire grin. "Naruto-sensei." Naruto looked up from helping one of the cheerleaders, Sakurako Shina, with her work. "Yeah? What were you and Evangeline-san talking about?" Asakura asked. Naruto thought for a moment, then shrugged. "Nothing serious. We were just discussing who was going to get the groceries today because I had forgotten the schedule Cha-chan set up." "Cha-chan?" was the collective question of the class. "Yeah, Chachimaru set up a schedule for who gets what for the cottage," Naruto said, still helping out the student who seemed not to be paying to the conversation. "Wait, how do you know they live in a cottage?" Haruna asked. It's because I'm their roommate, Naruto said, finalizing the paper in his hand and showed it to the girl, who thanked him for his help. He flashed her a smile and she blushed at him. He looked up and saw the girls surrounding Evangeline. "Oi, get back to work," he shouted. The girls left an irritated Evangeline who was glaring into the skull of the blonde. Naruto looked at her and released his own amount of killing intent only at Eva. Her eyes widened, not expecting him to actually retaliate in some way, shape or form like that. Naruto then went on to help others with their work. After a while he saw something strange. There was more tripwire from last time as well as some other things attached to it. Naruto looked around the room to see those trying to prank him. He saw the twins innocently doing the work, except for the fact that Fuka kept looking at him every 5 seconds. Naruto smirked and set off the trap. Everyone watched as 3 pies flew at him from the front. Making sure no one was behind him, Naruto took evasive action. He threw the book in his right hand into the first pie, while dodging to the right. He kicked up his slipper from his left foot and sent it to the left pie. Finally, he then turned a tiny angle so the last pie went whizzing by him, but he stretched out his hand and caught it. Naruto put a finger in it and tasted it. Yum, cherry. Okay, the one who did this has to pay for a new pair of slippers for me, Naruto said with a slight frown. All the girls were surprised at the skills of their sensei, especially one ninja in training. The 2 pranksters couldn't believe their eyes. Their sensei had managed to block their trap with random objects, and now he wants payment for his slippers. Sensei, how did you do that? Ace asked. Do what? Naruto deadpanned, causing many of the girls to face fault. How did you manage to avoid all those pies? Asuna shouted, oh that. It's nothing. My old sensei made me dodge small rather pointy objects going faster than that. So blocking or dodging things at that speed wasn't too hard, Naruto said, nonchalantly waving it off as nothing. The girls all looked at him, having the same though. What the hell type of school did he go to? The bell then rang out. As the girls packed to leave, Naruto said something from the desk. By the way, I know who did it. I suggest you check everywhere on your way home, giving off a maniacal laugh. The laugh made Eva flush a little bit, thinking it was cute. The twins were sweating bullets as they left the room, Fuka swearing she saw a dark glint in Naruto's eye when she turned around. He won't really do anything, right? Fumika questioned her sister. I'm pretty sure he won't, hopefully. That is a really confident answer, Fumika said worriedly. Fuka and Fumika looked around every corner as they got to the dorms. They jumped at almost every single thing they heard behind them, thinking it was Naruto. When they arrived at their front door, they let out a sigh of relief. I told you he wouldn't do anything, Fuka said with a smile. Her sister nodded, but as they stepped on their welcome mat, the twins heard a small crack. Looking down, they saw a twig on the mat, which had snapped when they stepped on it. They then saw a small string be released from the twig, which flew up the railing onto the ceiling. Following it with their eyes, they looked up only to be soaked with water from a bucket hanging above their door. They stared wide-eyed in disbelief as they stood there wet. On the bucket, there was a message which said, you have to try harder than that. I'm a prank king, with a chibi Naruto doing a peace sign. Fuka said, narrowing her eyes. Oni-san, I know what you are thinking and I completely agree, Fumika said. This means war, they said in unison. So throughout the next day, various pranks were pulled off by both the twins and Naruto. Most of which included a few buckets of paint, pitfalls, pie, silly string and rather unwelcoming cameras. However, as much as the twins tried, they never seemed to catch their sensei. He seemingly knew where their traps were and avoided them. The whoopee cushion they put on his chair somehow appeared on one of theirs, and almost all of their skills were not on par with his. Unlike them, however, Naruto scored many pranks on the twins. That is what the scene is right now. The 2 girls were hanging from a tree with some rope. They were covered in feathers and had a red rubber glove on them. As they slowly rotated in their position, they each glared at the grinning blonde. Truce? He asked. The twins let out a sigh of defeat. Truce? Naruto cut them down and untied them. Naruto said he will talk to them after they have cleaned up. After a good time in the bath, the girls went to look for Naruto. When they found him, he was on one of the branches of the world tree and looking at the sunset. The girls took their time and reached the branch they were on. What did you want to talk about, Naruto-sensei? Fumika asked. I wanted to know why you kept pranking me, he said, not looking to the girls. It's training. Fuka said. Training? Yeah, we are trying to hone our skills so we can prank Kaide, Fumika explained. Why do you want to prank her? We can't really say, Fuka said. Naruto nodded. They stood like that for a good 5 minutes just watching the sunset. Naruto took out a slip of paper from his jeans and gave it to Fuka. Huh, sensei, what's this? Read it when you get home, was all he said. Now get going, I intend to stay here a bit longer. The twins nodded and slowly went down the tree. When they were out of hearing range, Naruto spoke up seemingly to no one. You can come out now, Kaide, or should I say Ninja-san. For a few moments there was nothing but some falling leaves. Then a figure fell from a branch above. It was revealed to be Kaide in a ninja outfit. How did you know it was me? Better yet, how did you know I was a ninja de Gazaru? Kaide asked. He turned to face her and smiled. I felt someone following me for a while now, but I couldn't really guess who it was. I figured it out yesterday when you didn't seem too surprised at me doing what I did in the class to avoid the pies in class. As for the ninja thing, well, who else can be as sneaky as a ninja? But I peg you to be a chunin or maybe low junin in rank. You're very perceptive de Gazaru, Kaide relied with a smile. Got all of that from just looking at me? Naruto nodded. May I ask what rank you are then, de Gazaru? I would be considered a Kage after my last mission, Naruto said offhandedly. Kaide's eyes widened, if they could, at the notion. In front of her was what considered to be one of the strongest in the ninja world, a Kage. The last of the Kage class were gone except probably for a 60-year-old woman in her home village, yet her very own sensei who was not even in his 20s was a Kage. Naruto saw the disbelief in her face and shook his head. I'll show you one day. Kaide-chan. I promise, he said, jumping of the branch and landing in a crouch, walking off into the night. Kaide watched her sensei with interest after that. Maybe I should ask to train with him one day, she idly thought. She looked to where he was standing and saw a small inscription. Sleep with one eye open was what it said. Kaide did what it told, thinking something was going to happen. By morning nothing actually did happen, so she put it off as him trying to scare her. As she reached class, she noticed the twins were animatedly talking to Naruto and laughing. She continued and took her seat, but she didn't expect for the chair to break under her weight, which set off another trap which sent an arrow with a suction cup to her forehead. On the arrow it had a note saying, "We got you, Kaide," with the twins' picture on it. She looked up to see them laughing. The twins high-fived each other and hugged Naruto, thanking them for the advice. He smiled at them and then at her. I told you to keep your eye open, Kaide-chan, Naruto said with a smirk. Flashback end. Kaide decided to train the twins harder after that, and she also started to talk to Naruto more. They spoke about times as a ninja, their training, and other miscellaneous things. He sometimes caught her staring at him from time to time. The next memory that came to mind was the time the class dragged him and Negi to do karaoke. The cheerleaders insisted it and the whole class agreed, dragging them to a karaoke bar. Flashback start. Negi, tell me again why we are doing this. Naruto asked. I don't know, Naruto ni-san. The girls just took me here too, Negi sighed. Naruto was glad Negi took up calling him ni-san, because in truth it made him feel like an older brother, which he took the role quite well. He helped Negi from every time he needed help, but also made sure he actually took a bath, much to Asuna's pleasure. However, the two were in a soundproof room with a lot of leather. In the center of the room was a large table full of snack. They were surrounded by their class who were singing into a mic following some words on a TV. At least everyone is having fun, right? Naruto nodded, smiling that the girls were for once acting normal. The two looked up to see Misa finishing a song and Asakura took the mic, being the self-proclaimed announcer for the karaoke night they have. Negi-sensei, would you like to sing for us? She asked. Negi tried to decline, but agreed with much reluctance. He got up and decided to look for a song. Misa took his seat and sat next to Naruto. You have a good voice, Misa-chan, Naruto complimented her. Misa blushed. Thanks, Naruto-sensei, but I'm not really that good. What do you mean not good? That was great singing, he whispered. I bet your boyfriend loves the sound of your voice. How do you know I have a boyfriend? She asked, shocked. Like my godfather, Naruto started. I'm really good at getting information. Especially since he kept taking me to his researches every time we traveled, Naruto said, using air quotes for research alongside a small smile. I always thought it was stupid he was doing, but it made him who he was. That's good to hear, sensei, Misa said, smiling. Will the class ever get to meet him? Naruto shook his head. No, you won't be able. He died 2 years ago. Oh, I'm sorry, sensei. I didn't mean to ask. It's okay, I miss him and all, but we cannot change the past. So don't lose your boyfriend K, Naruto said with a small smile to her. Oh, it looks like Negi is done. Misa looked up to see that in fact Negi was done. Naruto's head snapped up when he heard his name being called up. But I can't sing. It doesn't matter, Naruto-sensei, Misa said. Just sing whatever, we won't really judge you. Right, girls? The rest of the class agreed. Naruto hung his head in defeat and took the mic and looked through the songs. He go to one that got his attention and put it into the machine. He closed his eyes till the music started. When it started, he opened his eyes. Mijika ni uru manatsu ni kiwo sukate ni toamari ni chikasugitamiya shinateshamaiso inata ga saiken taiken shitashi awase wa itai nan dezu ka? Megamura sugitaitiya moidasanai kamo? Ima koko ni iru katoiki wo shitiru koto tata sor dake no koto gakaseki da de kazukumijika ni uru manatsu ni kiwo sukate ni toamari ni chikasugitamiya shinateshamaiso. You know, the closer you get to something, the tougher it is to see it, and I'll never take it for granted. Let's go. Hitodasake wo gizan toyobu yatsura mo iru kedashinjira no mo utagao no mahito sorazor dakaradato kari ni sor gajizan de ata deshite madarika wo sukweda narasoryamushiro nani yori mo zutuasuakedakita yumeakira mezuni sasumi yo nantekare koto wo yeru hodananamo deki chinai kedowatonagiri no yuki wo mun niashita wo ikanuku tame nia, and I'll never take it for granted. Let's go. Musical break. Mijika ni uru manatsu ni kiwo sukate ni toamari ni chikasugitamiya shinateshamaiso. You know, the closer you get to something, the tougher it is to see it, and I'll never take it for granted. Wasuakedakita yumeakira mezuni sasumi yo nantekare koto wo yeru hodananamo deki chinai kedowatonagiri no yuki wo mun niashita wo ikanuku tame nia, and I'll never take it for granted. Let's go. When he turned around, he saw that all the girls were looking at him with mouths agape. Even Negi was staring at him. He scratched the back of his head sheepishly and asked, "Was it that bad? Was it bad?" Misa started, It was awesome. The class shouted, "We never knew you could sing, sensei." Kanoka said, "To be honest, I think that was bad." Naruto said, "Nonsense, that was really good, Ni-san." Negi said, "Encore. Encore. Encore." You sure? The girls shouted. All the girls agreed. "Fine, but Negi has to sing with me. That is the only condition to me singing again." The class proceeded to push Negi up. Damn, I was hoping that would dissuade them. "So Negi, what song should we sing? How about this one?" Negi said, pointing to a song. Naruto shrugged and put the song in. Naruto. Kakinare sanzai wo koko ni irutu. Arata na tabi ga ima hajimaru Naruto. Kawaryuku kisetsu no naka wo ikanuku tabi ni bakura chi tsuyosa wo te ni irata kido. Negi sad face, just looks like a survival game. Naruto. Nagarateku jiken no naka niokazari ni shita omoi wawashireta koto sura wasuri itanegi. Kujur kakita toki kadoku wo shit diita bakura hitori ya ninegi. And Naruto. Sarakides kanju wo banjo no omoi w onami dame ga unmei wo kate yuku yami ni uchi nares kodao wo kido eru yunaji atami no hata no moto denaruto. Utsuri yuku kyoku no naka de kawaranai taisetsu na mano wo mitsukedaso deshite samayat itanegi. Bokyaku no hate de diita no wawazuka demo tashika na nukamori Negi. And Naruto. Sarakides kanju wo banjo no omoi w onami dame ga unmei wo kate yuku yami ni uchi nares kodao wo kido eru yunaji atami no hata no moto de Negi. And Naruto. Sarakides kanju wo banjo no omoi w onami dame ga unmei wo kate yuku yami ni uchi nares kodao wo kido eru yo. Kaki nares sanzai wo koko ni irutu. Hibike anyo akatsuki no sora ni flashback. And Naruto smiled one more time as he remembered what happened today and the misconceptions between the relationship of himself, Negi, and Kanoka. Flashback start. The three cheerleaders Misa, Madoka and Sakurako were out shopping for clothes, however they kept getting distracted. They all stopped when they saw something out of the ordinary. "Hey girls, isn't that Negi-sensei, Naruto-sensei and Kanoka?" Misa said. The other two looked and in fact there were the mentioned three. Kanoka was wearing a white sweater over a black dress, boots and a hat that matched her sweater. Negi was in a blue and white sweater and brown slacks. Naruto had on an orange sweater, black jeans with an orange vest and a pair of big headphones around his neck. Negi was walking a little bit ahead of the other two, while Naruto and Kanoka were practically touching each other. What are they doing? Madoka asked. Hey Negi-kun, Naruto-kun, how about this one? Kanoka asked, holding up a long-sleeved shirt. That looks cute, Kanoka-san. Negi said. It really sweets you. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing you in that, Naruto said, putting an arm around Kanoka's shoulder, making the girl blush. What is going on here? The cheerleaders thought. They huddled up together and started speculating a few things. Is that a date? Sakurako asked the other two. I know Negi-kun is too young to be dating Kanoka right now, he's just 10, Madoka said. But Naruto and his flirtatious ways may have him and Kanoka dating. So you mean Naruto and Kanoka are dating? Sakurako said. For some reason this does not sit well with Misa, but she didn't know why. If they are, then why is Negi with them? Misa said. I know that Kanoka has to go to those meetings for arranged marriages set up by her grandfather, Sakurako said. And you see how Naruto is around her. He is really nice to her and helps her out. So maybe, Naruto had convinced Kanoka to elope with him in the future, Madoka said. That still doesn't explain why Negi-kun is with them. Misa frowned. Here is my guess, Madoka said. Since Negi lives with Kanoka, she probably mothers him. While Naruto acts like a big brother figure towards him. So maybe they decided once they elope they will adopt Negi as their kid to be a family. Oh my god. We have called the authorities. Misa said. You mean the staff room? Sakurako shouted. You idiot, that would get both of them fired for already planning this. Madoka asked. I finally get a day off and now? Asuna said from the other end of the phone call Misa made. Stop sleeping until noon. We've got trouble, look at this. She sent the picture of the trio, Negi smiling at the two older teens, while Naruto had his arm around Kanoka's shoulder. Something is wrong here. Tell me those two aren't going to elope and claim Negi as their kid. It took a moment before a reply. I'm going back to sleep. There is no way that what you said will happen. Hey Asuna, don't go back to sleep. Misa shouted. Hey girls, they're on the move again, Madoka informed them. She saw both Negi and Naruto turn around and hid in the corner. Negi-kun, Naruto-kun, is there something wrong? Kanoka asked both of her companions. Nothing, they both said at the same time. Kanoka-san, I'm sorry, but it's finally your day off and I know you'd rather spend it getting ready for the trip on the day after tomorrow, right? Negi apologized, twiddling his fingers. Yeah, I'm sorry too. I really didn't want to intrude on your day off too, Naruto said, scratching the back of his head. No, I'm happy, seeing the two of you being worried about me. Naruto and Negi looked at each other and smiled at her kindness. Naruto looped his right arm with Kanoka's left and his left with Negi's, making them move forward. Oh my gosh. They look like a good family, Sakurako said. They might be able to pull this off, Madoka interjected. Misa just nodded, but felt an odd lump in her chest when she agreed that they did look cute together like that. They proceeded to tell Asuna what they thought of the trio and sent her a picture of the three. Negi was sharing a float drink with Kanoka while Naruto had an ice cream cone. Some spilled on his cheek and Madoka licked it off. The scene made Misa's eye twitch. They didn't expect the class representative to ask them to stop whatever was happening over there, which the cheerleaders agreed. So each time the little family went to buy something, they interrupted by buying it first. Damn, there are a lot of violent people in the city, right, Negi? Naruto commented, sweat dropped. Yes, and pretty greedy too. They bought everything we wanted, Negi responded. Well, at least we got these. They should be enough, Kanoka said, smiling. As the cheerleaders followed them, they came to the scene with Negi resting on Kanoka's lap. As she rested her back against Naruto's back. I'm so envious. Damn that Kanoka, Misa grunted. Misa, you can do that with your boyfriend anytime, Madoka deadpanned. Yeah, but we don't have a little kid wanting to be our child, Misa pouted. Still, the scene made her ache to an extent. It really bothered her, yet she didn't understand. Naruto-kun, look at his sleeping face. He's still a child, isn't he? Kanoka said motherly. Yeah, Kanoka-chan, he is, Naruto said, shifting his position so she rested her head on his shoulder. I think you pushed him a little too far today. Well, I hope this works. She made an odd gesture and said, "Fatigue, go away." Naruto watched intently as he saw some magic in her finger. "Ah, I remember now the card. It will appear if kiss." She turned to Naruto as if asking for permission. "Sure, whatever floats your boat, Kanoka-chan," Naruto said. "I'd kiss you too if a card like that would appear, but it won't, will it?" "Nope, no it won't." "Can I get a kiss anyway?" he joked. "Maybe after I get the card." Kanoka teased. She then bent down to kiss Negi. "Kanoka, wait." The cheerleaders screamed. "I guess I shouldn't, I mean he is just a kid," Kanoka said, giggling. Naruto was chuckling behind her. They then saw the cheerleaders fall out of some bushes. "Era? Hold it right there." The two looked at the incoming Ayaka and Asuna coming towards them. Negi is sleeping on her lap. And she's leaning against Naruto. Ayaka said, pointing at them accusingly. "Kanoka, are you really going to?" Asuna said, with a slight tremble in her voice, looking at how the three looked right now. "Huh? Did you figure it out?" Naruto said. "Why is everyone here?" Negi asked, waking up. "It seems like they found out, Negi-kun," Kanoka said. Naruto nodding behind her. "I thought they'd be more surprised," Negi said. "So does that mean you three are going too?" Asuna said. "Well, we had no choice," Naruto interjected. "It may be one day early, but happy early birthday, Asuna-san," Negi said, presenting a gift to her. Kanoka was smiling, and Naruto put a supportive hand on Negi's shoulders. Misa had a small smile knowing that Naruto wouldn't actually elope with Kanoka, as did Asuna. "It's an organ that plays Asuna's favorite tune," Kanoka explained. "Oh, we got gifts for you too," the cheerleaders said, giving her the things they bought. Thank you everyone," Asuna said, shedding tears of joy. "I'm so happy." The cheerleaders tried to escape but were caught and had a verbal beating from the class rap. Flashback end. Naruto looked at the clock and it said it was midnight. Going to the drawer, he picked up a tiny rectangle wrapped in some paper. He used Hirishinto get to the dorms since he decided to leave a tag there. He appeared with a yellow flash in front of the doorway of Negi's room, only to be greeted by an Asuna in pajamas. "Why did you tell me to come out at midnight, Fishcake?" Asuna asked tiredly. "I wanted to give a different gift," Naruto said. He tossed her the wrapped present and said, "I hope you like it." He then flashed away. Asuna walked inside and opened it, to reveal a CD saying, "Happy Birthday." Asuna put it in her CD player and put on some headphones. She listened and found that it was one of her favorite songs. She looked to the back and it had a track listing, all of which were songs she liked. A note fell out and it said, "I asked Kanoka what was your favorite songs and decided to make a CD for your birthday. I'm giving this to you as a sign to asking if we're finally cool with each other. I mean, we did have a rough start, right? So happy birthday, Asuna." A chibi Naruto was smiling at her. "Baka, we're friends already," Asuna thought. "I still should thank him tomorrow on the train." She drifted off to sleep listening to the CD. Thanks for watching, guys.